Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hunter with Robo Outdoors, and today we're going to be doing the first half of our 2-week Wyoming trip. So essentially like the first week, maybe a little bit more into that, but enjoy. So to start this trip off, we ended up meeting down in Zeeland, Michigan at the Orbis Overland headquarters. And here we ended up staying overnight, making sure we're doing final checks and all. And of course, staying in our skinny guy camper. This thing is a very crucial piece of equipment for this trip, for at least my family. And you'll see some of that here shortly. But this thing is upfitted with everything. Alright, now let's get into some of the different rigs that we got going on. First off is going to be my buddy Scott in the Rescue Ranger. Now this is a newer 2022 Ford Tremor in the Ranger configuration, if you will, and he's towing a Vector off-road trailer. Now, leading this expedition is going to be my friend Patrick from Orbis Overlanding. And he's the one who pretty much does all kinds of different trips. He's organized all kinds of different trips, but this one is going to be the best that I've been on so far. So with that, the next morning, we all ended up rolling out of Orbis Overland HQ to meet up at our first camp spot. Which, you know, was pretty comfortable, I might add. And for this trip, we met up with our buddy Jason, who you might know as All Things Overlanding, that guy right there, and headed out west. If you've ever drove out west from the Midwest, you'll know that it's a lot of fields, a lot of the same views for hours. And hours. And hours. But you get the gist of it, so I don't want to bore you too much with that. Alright, so we're kind of taking a little dinner break here. We've pretty much been on the road all day. Ended up staying in Davenport the other night. Not Davenport, I don't know, somewhere in Iowa. But I've actually been getting 18 to almost 19 miles per gallon, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, so got all the rigs over there. There's Jason. Scott's cooking up some tacos right now. A real quick, easy meal. Caitlin and I were in the little thing over there. And there's Patrick, big chilling over there. So we'll go eat some food. So this is the first big road trip that we've had our daughter Ivory on, and she did absolutely phenomenal. Of course, a lot of the gear that we ended up bringing was for her. Scott's trailer ended up being an awesome addition to the convoys. Fast forwarding to all the boring driving that we did that first day, we ended up staying at this kind of interesting looking campsite in Colorado. We didn't end up getting there till late at night, and there were tons and tons of bugs, so in and out of the tent super quick. So with that, we started heading towards Loveland, Colorado. Now the beginning of the BDR starts at about the Wyoming-Colorado border in a small town. For me, it's always a treat coming to Colorado. What we are driving through is where I've done a lot of elk and mule deer hunting, so I was pretty familiar with the Loveland area, and getting back to come here is always a treat for me. I absolutely love Colorado, and if you've never been there, I highly, highly suggest it. A lot of these steeper rocks is where you can find bighorn sheep, but unfortunately they must have been hiding out because we didn't end up seeing any on this trip. we started heading into Estes Park and decided to stop at this little pullout which had a cool little stream running by it. Take some pictures, kind of get out, stretch our feet, all that fun stuff. The river was full of fly fishermen, which my younger brother would have loved to have been here for this. Once we did reach Estes Park, and if you're not familiar with Estes Park, it's a town in Colorado that really I think is for having elk just wandering about the town. And if you're an outdoorsman and a hunter such as myself, you will see some giants in there. But the route we ended up wanting to take through Colorado ended up being blocked off by the national park, which you would have had to reserve certain times to travel through, which we didn't, so we ended up turning back around and finding an alternative route up to the start of the Wyoming BDR. Now, I love the mountains because when you get near to the top, you have views like this. It was a spot right off the highway, so of course we had to stop and take some pictures and videos and all. So for whatever reason, at the beginning of this trip, I was not feeling too good, so I let Caitlin drive for a little bit. She's driven off-road, just not in my truck. All right, so we made it to our first official campsite on BDR, and it's a pretty sweet little open field type with this really cool stream in it. If I sound a little garbled, it's because for whatever reason I am not feeling too good, but powering through it. So really sweet spot. How you like it? Yeah. So I got the skinny guy all set up there and picked up one of these little shower tents, so that way we can give a little one a bath and take showers ourselves. And truck's all muddy. Caitlin ended up taking it and driving it around a little bit to get here because I was attempting to nap in the passenger seat. But yeah, I think I'm gonna set up camp, take a nap, and maybe get some food later. So with finding that pretty cool campsite, we officially begun our journey on the Wyoming BDR. Now the route kind of S's from south to north in different sections that, if you go visit the BDR's website, are actually pretty well mapped out and points of interest on there, things of that nature. So in our convoy, we have Patrick leading the way as our navigation and team leader. Scott is following behind in his trailer, who is also designated as our team medic. Jason and his new Nissan Frontier is the official social media guy, who obviously you should have figured that if you've been familiar with his YouTube channel. And then myself at the tail end is kind of the recovery / security guy. Because, well, let's face it, I make a great anchor. The views of the mountains never get old to me. And honestly, I've never been to Wyoming, so some of these views were unexpected. When I think of Wyoming, I think of flat prairie lands with a lot of cows roaming around. And there certainly was that, as you'll see later on in the video. But I did not expect some of the gorgeous mountain views here. So once we officially hit the first off-road section of the BDR, we decided to stop and air down our tires.
which will make the ride a lot more comfortable. It also gains added stability and gripness, if you will. Now with the BDR, this first section has what's referred to as an expert section, which we were like, hey, let's give it a whirl and see what happens. And well, unfortunately, we've seen what was there once we got to the top.
Well, this is pretty cool. That's not pretty cool though. These snowdrifts are like up to my waist and a pretty steep drop on the other side. So it just keeps going one after the other after the other. So I think this is going to be turning around point. This is the expert level portion of this, but it's pretty much just been this gravel road that we've been driving on. But I mean, it's pretty. It's definitely pretty. I'm assuming that is the expert part, because I don't even know if I went through that. I would honestly probably just sink through most of this stuff, so that sucks. That's cool.
Yeah. Was that on there?
And with that, we've begun to head down the normal route on the BDR and to continue going through this beautiful countryside. Which eventually opened up to what you would expect to see in Wyoming, kind of some rolling hills and fields and cows. Lots and lots of cows. So we headed down into town and get some lunch. And of course, what do you know, look what we found. And I had to get a picture out in front. Once our stomachs were full, we continued to carry on the plan of the day, moving through the first section of the BDR. Before you know it, we were back to climbing the mountains again. I'm a sucker for water crossings. Even if they aren't the deepest, I just think it's so much fun to roll through a stream or creek or river or what have you.
Alright, so we made it to the end of the first little section piece of the Wyoming BDR. Another, again, really cool campsite, kind of everybody else's setup in this woods here. And then we opted for a little bit more open scenery here, and feel a lot better than I did yesterday, but still a little stuffed up and all that, but we'll be alright. They're out there cooking some dinner right now. We got a little fire going, and yeah, just kind of hanging out by the fire for tonight. And the Skinny Guy camper has been absolutely phenomenal for the family, so we are really enjoying this. I mean, it's nice in general when you're solo camping, just for the fact that you pretty much have a camper. Like everything you'd find in an RV, they fit into this little package, except for air conditioning, but that is coming. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and get some food, and see you guys in a bit.
So unfortunately this morning at camp, Scott slipped a knife and cut himself kind of deep. Nothing too bad. They were able to get it taken care of pretty quickly, and we were able to power on through the trip. However, he did miss a decent bit of section 2, which wasn't too terribly long. However, it was very bumpy. And we did end up taking a little side tour up to an area that, well, like the expert section of the very first section, was completely covered in snow. And it didn't look too bad, it was open, so we figured, hey, let's send the heavy one through to go ahead and try and break up some of this stuff.
Next couple go all the way over the road. Yeah. Maybe back up and just nudge. Yeah. down. I mean, we could shovel it. It's gonna be some work, but.
So I just went and cleared a bunch of snow up in that direction, but unfortunately it just gets way too bad. So we are going to turn around and try to find an alternative route. I don't know what that will be, but might be pavement, who knows. Hopefully it can continue to stay off road on today. It's supposed to be a short day, only like 80 some miles or something like that. But, well, at least we gave it the good old try. So Scott had to run into town because he cut his finger pretty bad this morning making food. And I'm still not 100% yet, but taking meds and trying to rest when I can. And just a big mess right now. So turn around and see what we can find. We have been doing some on and off the pavement road driving, whatever you want to call it. So we aired back up to take a little trip to this trail that we're on currently, and then what we've all kind of decided to do is find that happy medium to where, especially for today at least, where it won't be as bad off-road aired down for PSI, but we'll still be able to get out and, you know, like 60, 65, whatever, and not really worry too much. Usually I air down to about 30 psi. The tires keep 50 normally when I'm driving around, but especially with it being this heavy and whatnot. The compressor has been having some issues, probably because we're at such high elevation. Typically I can use like one of those 2-gallon tanks to fill up a tire, but I did like 3 of those tanks in one tire, and it didn't really fill it up much. So unfortunately Jason had a different kind of compressor there that we were able to air me back up to, but at least this way I'll be able to probably stay at 40 and be okay for the rest of the trip. But let's see what the next little segment brings us.
You know, when I think about an overlanding rig, Subaru was probably not the first one that comes to mind, but these things continue to surprise me. You can see how bumpy this section of the BDR is with all these small rocks all over the trail. It made for a very, very rough, bouncy day. At this point in the trail, we ended up running into another group of overlanders that were traveling the BDR from north to south, and they gave us some pretty good intel on the Bighorn Mountain area, and that was, it took them 12 hours to go 60 miles because they had been getting so much rain that the trails were just caked with mud, and they were getting stuck up to their axles. And they have a good variety of vehicles, also being similar weights and everything, so that way they could winch each other out. If I was to bury my axles on this trip, I'm not sure what we would do if we didn't have anything to winch to, but that would have been a fun excursion. One of the key points of interest on the Wyoming BDR is this lookout tower, which the trail to bring you up there is pretty steep, but it's pretty fun. Nothing too difficult by any means, but the view at the top is definitely worth it. We ended up linking back up with Scott and Elkhorn and making way to our next campsite, which happened to be in this Red Rock area, which reminded me kind of the southwest United States, kind of Arizona Red Rock, if you will, but Wyoming had a good diversity of white and red rock, which is pretty cool to see. And with that, we close out the day to get ready to the next section of the BDR, which was mostly highway until we ended up getting to this cool little town, which we stopped and had lunch. Always have to go to the local joints when you're out traveling. This day we pretty much ended up wandering around what was essentially rolling hills trying to find the campsite, which the route ended up being blocked and going into private land, which if you're not too familiar with Wyoming, there's all kinds of trails in public and private land, and basically it's gated off for cattle, but you can still pass through it, given that you close the gate if it's closed and leave it open if it's open. However, this section was really blocked off, so we decided to find a spot, make camp, and pick up the next day.
Alright, so we made it to camp for the third day, and we've actually kind of started the third section, gone through what I would say is probably a decent bit of it. The campsite's pretty sweet. We're about, I think you said 9,000 feet elevation. Feeling a lot better, which is good, especially for the elevation that we're at. But got the skinny guy all set up there, and Caitlin's going to be cooking some food in a minute. And I think we're going to kind of use this little open area over here to have our little campfire, our little hangout spot. So see, Patrick's got his gazelle over there. Jason's got his rooftop tent open. Scott's over by me with his trailer set up. Scott is fine. He got his stitches taken care of and met up with us in Elk Mountain, and Ken's over there playing on some rocks. So, well, all right. I haven't really ate much, but I'm gonna get some food. What are you doing? You make a mess in here? Another nice morning here in Wyoming. Feeling much better. And this spot, it was pretty interesting. We were having a fire kind of back over that way, and like all the smoke was just like staying up on this hill, even though there was a little bit of a breeze. Kind of made things a little eerie, a little creepy, but it was pretty sweet. So we got camp all packed up. So we pushed a little bit further on the third section of the BDR, and so today we're going to be starting or finishing the last part of section 3, and then going on to section 4. So it'll be a pretty good little push like we did yesterday. It sounds like the Bighorn Mountains are completely just mucky mud. We passed a group yesterday, and they're doing the BDR in reverse. They had 4 vehicles just like us, and they said they made it 60 miles in 12 hours because they just kept constantly getting stuck in the mud. And that section that they were doing was like fairly open. There's not like trees to winch to, and so with the weight of this thing, I think we're gonna kind of bypass all that, maybe spend another day going into the Tetons. I know we're gonna be doing that tomorrow, so that'll be really cool. And then perhaps maybe come home a day early. I don't know. I know we're gonna kind of take our time going home and disperse camp and all that kind of stuff. So should be pretty good. But we're gonna get on the road.
Stay tuned for the next portion of the Wyoming BDR Part 2, where we run into some other issues, as well as a lot more cows.
So this little campground beach, I don't know if you can see it past the all the other stuff there, but there's this cool little lake in this like canyon area, and we pretty much stopped here for lunch, and this is the end portion of section 3, so now we'll be starting section 4. And I do believe, yeah, see a little lake and everything, pretty cool. But I think we're gonna push almost all the way through section 4 today,
and then find camp for tonight, and then it's going to be early morning tomorrow because we are going to be pushing to the Tetons and hang out there for a little bit, camp there, and then get up, come back, and probably start section 5. Well, this trip has become a little bit of excitement going on. Oh yeah, Jason's Bedrock bolts were kind of coming loose. We're having some issues with that, but we got kind of sort of squared away. And then coming to our spot for tonight, we actually came here, checked out. We're like, it's pretty small, and then continued for like another good hour or so. What? You want to say hi to everybody? You liking the camper? Let's go see what Jason's doing. You having fun over here?
Yeah, loads of fun.
What's on the menu tonight?
We're gonna make some smash burgers.
Burger.
Sweet. Love me a good burger.
Burger.
This trailer's pretty sweet.
Scott, how about a cutting board?
Drawer.
Drawer? Sure. Oh yeah. Super.
Pulling this with this Ford Ranger. I love the wrap that they did on this thing. So cool. I would like to do something like that with my truck, but it just wouldn't pop. I have to do some kind of different color. But yeah, pretty sweet little setup. Alright, so we made it to, I don't even know what day this is, 5 or something like that, but we're kind of next to this really sweet little creek, and checked a few places. They were pretty much a bust, and then found this sweet little place kind of on our way out of the Tetons, and it's been like raining on and off. Well, it's really warm, and then it pretty much cooled right down, but got the skinny guy all set up there. And one thing that I've been trying to do in days where it's been raining, so this whole
outside channel here is a rain collection system. So you have that drain and that drain. So what you can do is hook up a hose to the water intake here and collect rainwater. So I mean, today we probably used a decent amount of water just because like I took a shower today, and I think yesterday Caitlin showered or something like that. So you know, I mean, it's 38 gallons, which is a bunch, but just, you know, being resourceful, I guess. But the truck is completely caked in mud. So situation with the bighorns doesn't look like it's improving at all. So unfortunately, might probably not doing that. So, which I believe is like section 7 and 8, but I think we're gonna do 6. So continue on to 6 and then probably head over to a couple other cool scenic spots, kind of like, you know, kind of like the Teton, where it wasn't a part of the BDR, but we kind of decided to make it our own. So I'll show you around camp a little bit. There's a rainbow. Alright, so we got camp all packed up and we're gonna head into a little town kind of on the way. Stop and do some laundry. We've been out here for a week, and laundry, especially for the little one, has definitely piled up, as well as needing to clean bits and pieces of the car seat because we might have had a little accident in there, and that was fun to deal with. But yeah, we other slight issue is, so Skinny Guy has a 38-gallon water tank, as I'm sure I mentioned earlier, and should be plenty of water, you know, for 2 weeks. Well, I must not have filled the tanks all the way, or both tanks, maybe, because we don't got no more water. So hopefully find a place to fill that up, and yeah, and you know, probably get some lunch in town and then start section 5 a little bit later today. But it's really pretty sweet little spot. I like I love camping by like creeks and rivers and all that. Pretty good to sleep too. But I got a rager headache, so I'm gonna take some meds. Just chilling. I bet you that guy drinks Purple Monsters. No more. Look at Jason over there with this fancy air down system. And I'm over here with this.
So I hate airing down only because I do not have good equipment to do this. I really need to invest in one of those type systems like what Jason's got, where you can air up and air down all 4 tires at once, because having 40s with a 17-inch wheel takes a little bit of time to do both. So yeah, anywho. Also, I've been using one of his compressors because the one, or my Milwaukee compressor that I have is, I don't know if it's just because of the air or whatever, like, you know, being how high up we are, but it is like really struggling to fill these tires, which normally back home it doesn't. So yeah. But airing down is really good to do, because not only does it help with your ride quality when you're bumping around and everything like that, but when your tires get lower on pressure and you're going over like rocks and stuff, of course we're not really going to be doing a ton of that, I don't think. It'll kind of allow your tire to grip around an obstacle, which is really nice. But considering I have like probably a good 2,000 pounds in the bed right now, and the little one will kind of help the truck from bouncing around so much.
So we stopped here at these petroglyphs in Wyoming, kind of along the BDR here, and I am an absolute sucker for when it comes to like archaeology, geology, ancient stuff and rocks and all that jazz. So this is a really cool thing to stop and see, you know, and kind of let your imagination run wild on how things used to be way back in the day before, you know, the moose build and TV or phone that you're watching this on, and really kind of just, you know, let your mind wander. I like the color. Alright guys, I'm here with my buddy Jason Fletcher, or Fletch from All Things Over. Alright guys, so now it is my buddy Scott's turn to do a little walk around. I am here with my buddy Patrick from Orbis Overlanding. Alright, so a little bittersweet moment here on the trip. It is our last day in Wyoming, and with that, it is our last day camping in the mountains. So we decided to pick a little view for our campsite here. What do you think of this campsite? What's your opinion on overlanding? Would you recommend coming on this trip to Wyoming? Alright, so with that, you know, next up, I know we kind of ended up canking the what is it, 7th and 8th section of the trail, because it was to the point where local news was even telling them like, hey, don't go on these roads. So the locals are telling you not to, you probably shouldn't either. So we have to just skip that section for now, and then we're going to be heading that way tomorrow to Mount Rushmore. So that'll be pretty sweet. Never been there, and go visit that. Then we will be heading to Badlands, South Dakota, camp there, and then pretty much be making our way home, and that'll be the final hoorah, if you will, for the trip. So it's been pretty fun, but this campsite is pretty sweet. Alright, so last day in the mountains. Well, these mountains in Wyoming at least. And pretty sweet spot, we'll say. Had Scott made some pancakes and bacon. So we're going to pack up and head out to Mount Rushmore. Should only be like 4-ish hours away. And go see that, and then head out to our next campsite to be, I think, our last like actual campsite for the trip. But yeah, this view is pretty sweet. I'm loving waking up to that. So all right, let's get packing. I would like to add that if you ever plan on coming out west, make sure you get some leveling blocks. These are just some cheapo ones that you can get at like Walmart. That's where I picked these up, and had them for like 3 or 4 years. 4 years, I think. And yeah, because it's not a whole lot of levelness when you're out in the mountains. Alright, so we just went and visited Mount Rushmore. It was pretty cool. Didn't bring the camera with me, so I'll just kind of put some pictures in as I'm talking. And we found this really sweet little campsite here. And so this will be our last night camping in the trip. And we were in the Black Hills area. Pretty sweet. Pretty, reminds me of the Rockies a little bit. But yeah, so we got this sweet little camp area here. It's supposed to rain a good decent bit still, so but we got an early day at camp here, so that'll be nice to kind of hang around, have a fire, and you know, talk about the trip, things that went good, things that went bad, and all that kind of goodness, and then start the journey home. So gonna go relax. Yeah, Caitlin. Right. But we did end up linking up with Cindy from Northology at Mount Rushmore, so she's gonna be hanging out, camping with us tonight, and yeah, be a good time.